Hey everybody, I wanted to come back and prove to you that I've not been hobby idle. In fact, I've been working on this Skycutter, which from here on forth like it to be known as the Seacutter, more aptly named, fitting with the Sea Guard theme and with the rest of my army coming out of the water. This is what I wanted to put together. Now, it took me a little while to come to the idea of having this creature pulling it, but I wanted a water creature. So here I have done a Manta Ray, and I used this out of a screamer, and we'll give you a little overhead shot and we'll talk about what I've done here. So you can see the original shape of the screamer, and this point right here is where the screamer actually ends. So I wanted to widen that out and give it a little bit more volume. The tail itself is actually part of a Dragon Prince banner, I believe, and you'll see a little side shot here in a second. So I had to sculpt that out and extend that. That's going to serve a dual purpose of supporting the chassis of it itself. Now, looking at the chassis, the good thing about this, and if any of you have bought this or are thinking of buying this, the assembly to this is tight, it's easy, and it's quick. So don't be afraid of this thing at all. But I did my army theme paint job on this, mostly purple with some white highlight and gold. Give you a shot here of how the assembly is going to come together. Admittedly, this little latch piece here, I didn't come up with anything better to do that. It may look unnatural attached to the Manta Ray, but I'm going to have to live with that. But the latch goes on, the tail supports it, and then I started to get into the painting of this guy. Again, using the typical army colors, purple. For this guy seemed still natural enough. Pulled out the old rotting flesh color from the old days to do some of the mottling on here and accentuation color. Of course, I had to do waves for this thing coming out of the water, so I sculpted away with that. I've just seen this on some of my other pieces. It's a pretty simple thing to do. You don't have to be a master sculptor by any stretch. You just need to be able to pull putty around. And then this is the final assembly with the crew inside from a headlong shot. Also something I kind of am pleased with is down here I have done some little sculpting of what's supposedly eyes on there. There were some talons that I had to chop away to make room for that. Again, here's another side look at it. Now, the gunner mounted in the front here, I'm almost going to always field it that way and have that guy in there. But I did magnetize him so I can remove him. The guy, the tiller at the back, he's glued in. He's going to stay there. But this shot also gives you a look at how the tail itself is going to support the chassis of it right there. Kind of a small point. It's going to be delicate to transport, but I'll try to be careful with it and it'll make its way. I also did the sea helm, painted him separately, because this guy I'm predominantly going to use as a battle standard bearer, I think, in my army, because the banner looks so good. But just so that he can have a spot, I did put a magnet on the bottom of his base as well, so I can actually put him into the chariot chassis like this. Very unlikely that I'll actually field him this way in game terms, but he makes for a good looking model up there just the same. Now, you may be wondering what happened with the original guy pulling it. Well, I turned him into a great eagle, because who can't use more of those? He was a pretty quick paint job. I didn't do anything spectacular with him. And he's going to be serviceable. I had to put a shield on the back to, and pretend that that was armor, because otherwise he would have an obscene gap. And yeah, so overall we'll come back to a look at this and have the overall glance. I'm pleased that I found something to fit for the Sea Guard theme that seemed more appropriate than the bird pulling this. So I hope that some of you watching this may want to try that out. Maybe you got some other ideas for sea creatures. You find little dolphin toys or have them pulled by seals or doves or something. But I'd like to see what other creations the rest of the world might come up with. And I'd like to be inspired for a future project too. So I hope you enjoyed this, and please send your comments and stick them down at the bottom. Subscribe to this channel because I'll have more things on the way. And otherwise, thanks for watching. More of this later.